This is what a rig mining digital currencies sounds like. The noise you hear is made by cooling fans.
These machines get extremely hot, very good for winter, a nightmare in summer. In summer you have big air conditioning bills on top of your electric bills, so that's something to consider.
Mining, as it's called, is the process of verifying cryptocurrency transactions to avoid the same currency from being spent twice. For doing that, miners are awarded a transaction fee. Jake Gold is a hobby miner based in Hong Kong. TRT World interviewed him a year ago when Bitcoin was booming, touching an all-time high of nearly $20,000. Since then, its value has plummeted. Jake only turned the mining rig on to show it in action. For the past 2 months, it's all been switched off because of the fall in Bitcoin's value.
It seemed to stabilize quite nicely around the $6,000 mark for most of this year. So we thought that was the new floor, the new base, which was still quite profitable for mining. But as soon as it broke under that, it was kind of a new territory for everyone in the community.
Mining for digital currencies requires special software to solve mathematical problems. Profiting from it comes down to offsetting the energy needed.
And the more power you have and the more you support the network, the more you're rewarded from pool's reward pool.
The price of Bitcoin has nosedived in recent months, but its overall ascent, along with other digital currencies, has still raised concern about the energy required for mining and its impact on climate change. One study by researchers at the University of Hawaii estimated emissions produced by Bitcoin last year alone amounted to nearly 70 million metric tons of carbon dioxide. That's about 1% of total global energy consumption. But critics say these sorts of reports are alarmist and inaccurate.
It's very difficult to measure this type of thing because you have computers that are distributed via a wider network across different locations. So first of all, to measure that is really difficult. So they must have come to a lot of assumptions to arrive at that. So I personally have a lot of questions and doubts over the accuracy of these reports.
According to research conducted by cryptocurrency specialists, CoinShares, the majority of large-scale miners use renewable energy to power their operations. That's not just because it's cleaner, it's also more cost-effective. And hobby miners like Jake may need to go for the greener, cheaper option if the price of Bitcoin keeps falling. Patrick Falk, TRT World, Hong Kong.
For more on this, let's bring in Talha Bhatty from Boston, Massachusetts. He's the director of the online cryptocurrencies resource, the Crypto Corp. Welcome to the program. So, environmental issues aside, 2018 really saw quite a significant fall from grace for Bitcoin. For last Christmas, one coin was fetching, as we heard there, nearly $20,000. It's now worth just under $4,000 per Bitcoin. What was behind Bitcoin's plunge this year?
Well, I think it had gotten to the point where it had basically become unsustainable. Any asset, yeah, and the stock market does this over and over again, and Bitcoin has actually done this over and over again. Is it shoots up in popularity in Google search rankings and price, like all the metrics rise together, and they get to this point where, like this time around, a whole new bunch of people found out about it and they got involved, and that was the first time they were hearing about it, and it sort of was, in some people's minds at least, a get rich quick scheme, and and it just got higher and higher and higher, and more people got excited about it, and eventually that just became unsustainable. And so in that way, lots of people called it a bubble. Yeah, this round, of the bubble is over. But as I mentioned, it's done this numerous times in the past. And in fact, the people who are greedy are the ones who sort of get hurt at the end. So Bitcoin doesn't really reward greed. It's the people who have, been around for a while, who are now sort of, reaping the benefits of it. And they really sort of, they've been involved in this for 5-10 years in some way or the other, learning more about it, investing more in it. And those are the people, the patient people who get rewarded. The last minute people who jump in when it is 20,000 are the ones who sort of get burnt. And then but they learn a lot. It's just like a master's degree in patience and, risk management, as one of my friends put it. The fellow cryptocurrency enthusiast, and they're ready for the next round. They're the next generation of investors. And the really interesting bit is that lots of these people who do get involved are literally first-time investors. They've never ever invested in their lives, and Bitcoin was the first time they ever got into investing at all. And they're seeing how markets work, and it's very exciting for them, to even have entered at the 20,000 stage. Now they're looking forward to the next cycle, we can call it.
Well, earlier this year, the billionaire investor Warren Buffett described Bitcoin as a rat poison squared, warning people against investing in Bitcoin. And as you say, other people, including economists, have described it as a bubble. Are they right, given what we've seen this year in the plunge in value?
So I think what Warren Buffett and a lot of the other economists sort of represent is an older school of thinking, when central banks were the way to move ahead, and they were the ones that were going to ensure stability. And the point of their creation, in fact, was to avoid booms and busts. And as we've seen, that's not really happening at all. And so Bitcoin, part of its claim to fame is that it's showing itself as an alternative to that system. So obviously the people who are not, or who really are vested in the old system, are not too fond of this, because it could completely replace all the banks in the entire world, the central banks, the local banks, all the banks. It's the same thing as Barack Obama, our president, earlier on said. It's like having a Swiss bank account in your pocket. And literally every single human being on the world can get that for free now. So these investors, they don't see that that's what this is unlocking, is just financial independence for billions and billions of people. And then B, they are right about the bubble part. You see, as I mentioned earlier on, is that it goes through these bubbles. So the patient people get rewarded. The greedy people at the end do not, but they become, the next class, we'll call it. And then they learn for the next few years, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. The higher it gets, the longer these cycles are going to become.
Okay.
So,
Talha, just to jump in quickly, because we're running out of time, I'm wondering, what's your outlook for Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies in 2019? Will we see them recover, and are they still a worthwhile investment?
I would highly recommend, and that's right, is that people are saying it could go down to 1,200, but I would highly recommend this next 3 to 6 month period, and it could stretch out more. It could become a few years, as I said, because we hit a peak of $20,000 now, so it might take longer to recover from that. But the network, everything is still intact. And the funny bit is that if the prices fall enough, some of the big mining powers are also going to fall out. So mining might become a valuable option for lots of people as well. So I would say, definitely, if you haven't invested in, it's never been a better time. There's a lot of technology involved in the background. Understand that. Build apps for that. There's so many sort of different ways you can invest in the future.
Sorry, Talha. We will have to leave it there, but we appreciate your thoughts again.
It was
Thank
great
you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.